Congratulations on joining our online course. My name is Sietse Wijma. I'm the founder of The Art of Tasting, a wine education company that focuses on flavor compounds. I have my master in sensory science, which is the academic study of flavor perception, and I also hold the level 4 diploma in wines from the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. Now, you might still be waiting for your pack of flavoring vials to arrive, but in the meantime, we can discuss some basics on wine aroma perception. So I started my career in a wine store, and I remember the situation of a customer showing me a wine bottle, showing the back of the label and saying, it says on the label, this wine has hints of green bell pepper. And the customer said, I'm worried, I am allergic to bell peppers. Now, I found it a rather amusing situation, but I reassured the customer there's no actual bell peppers in this wine, so you can safely consume it. It's not going to trigger an allergic reaction. But if you think about it, that is actually a really valid question, and it's really interesting because it makes you think. The follow-up question would be, well, what is the similarity between a bell pepper and a wine? If there is any, it could just be marketing. But it turns out, if you look into the science of it, any aroma that you come across in your daily lives always consists of multiple aromatic compounds. So it's going to be a combination or a blend of different, what you could also call volatile molecules. So these are very small fragments of smells that are light enough that they can escape or evaporate from the product. And that will enter your nose, and that combination of molecules is going to be perceived as a certain smell. And you can also look at the same example of a glass of wine. So a wine also contains a combination of molecules that together is being perceived as the smell of wine. And from time to time, there's going to be molecules that are shared. So in other words, the aroma of wine might have a molecule that it has in common with another product, whether that is some vegetable or a fruit or a flower. And that is the reason behind why we associate wine aroma with other things. There's some chemical overlap. That is not just true for wine, but you might also think of having a cup of coffee and it's reminding you of chocolate. Well, that would also be because one or more chemical compounds are identical, so are shared between that cup of coffee and chocolate. In this course, you will learn about 10 of such examples, so 10 aroma compounds that are both found in wine and in other sources in nature. While you're waiting for your shipment to arrive, you can also prepare your wines. Now, I have prepared 2 bottles here. They are fairly inexpensive wines. I got them from the local supermarket. And the key is that you want to get something neutral. So for a white wine, I've opted for a Soave here. You could also go for an unoaked Chardonnay. You could pick a Pinot Grigio or maybe something from a local grape variety like an Iren, Ugni Blanc or Trebbiano in Italian, maybe even Welsh Riesling if you're in Austria. So there's a range of options, but the key is something neutral that is not going to have much aroma or flavor by itself. Now, as for reds, I've opted for a basic Merlot from Languedoc. You could also go for a Côte du Rhône. You could perhaps go for an entry-level Pinot Noir or Tempranillo. These are all valid options. Now, I'm going to keep them at room temperature. I like carrying out these tastings at room temperature because there will not be any changes in wine temperature over the course of your training, and that is going to keep things a bit simpler. So when you receive your set of flavoring vials, you will notice that there's 2 documents inside there. One of them is going to be the preparation instructions, which I will also talk you through in the video. And there's also going to be another introduction document, which also reveals you the sample identity on the back of the card. Now, what I would recommend is to not yet look at that sample identity, because it's a very interesting learning experience trying these aromas without having any prior knowledge, so without knowing what you're supposed to be smelling. And that is giving you a really personal experience and really helps you to get familiar, to really get locked in with these wine aromas. What I would say is to keep these in the fridge, so keep them refrigerated and in between uses.